Mangwanani Mwalelepo Fukenjani Kekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. Happy Valentine's Day. You are joined by Ashimbeli and Glenora Shipura. How are you, Glenn?
I am very well.
Looking wonderful in red.
Thank you.
We are
thank
ready.
you.
We are
thank
all
you. You know,
ready
we are
for
honoring
Valentine's
love,
Day.
You know?
Absolutely.
We have beautiful plans ahead.
Yes, and you know something interesting. Last year, Namibia, in the month of February, ordered chocolates, imported chocolates to the value of 8 million Namibian dollars. Wow. This year, we've ordered chocolates, imported chocolates to the value of 12 million Namibian dollars. So if you don't get even one of those chocolates, there's $12 million worth of chocolates that came this month. If you don't have one of those chocolates,
the problem is you.
We need to fix. No. There's the other person who can't locate one chocolate out of $12 million.
Well, let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. SA files urgent request to ICJ over Israel's attack in Rafah. Gunmen kill 4, abduct at least 40 in northwest Nigeria. Airline finds millions embezzled from ticket sales. A little bit later on, we'll also be talking to Arrie Hougaard, who'll be filling us in on the latest news in South Africa. Do stay tuned for this and more on Africa Good Morning.
On behalf of the National Road Safety Council and all stakeholders in the road safety subsector, I extend our deepest and heartfelt condolences to the former First Lady, Madam Munega Kaingos, the bereaved family, the relatives, friends, and the entire Namibian nation on the sudden passing of our beloved President, His Excellency Dr. Hage Gottfried Kaingo. His leadership, resilience, and firm belief in systems, institutions, and processes will forever be kept and cherished in our hearts, as well as his belief in unity, inclusivity, and equality. I, on behalf of the National Road Safety Council and all stakeholders in the road safety subsector, join the rest of the nation in mourning the passing of our distinguished leader. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Getting into our top story, as Israel continues to unleash airstrikes on Rafah, the South African government has made an urgent request to the International Court of Justice to consider using its power to prevent further deaths of Palestinians in Gaza. Last week, Israel extended its military operations in the southern Gaza city. The mission by the Israeli military killed 74 Palestinians in Rafah, where about 1 million civilians have sought refuge from months of bombardments. The ICJ last month ordered Israel to take all measures within its power to prevent its troops from committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. The International Court made this ruling in the case brought by South Africa, calling for Israel to suspend its Gaza offensive and enable humanitarian aid to thousands of displaced Palestinians.
Now, armed men killed 4 people, including 2 policemen, and kidnapped at least 40 others in an attack on Kaura Namoda in Nigeria's northwest Zamfara state, police and residents said on Tuesday. Africa's largest economy is grappling with a multifaceted security crisis, including kidnappings for ransom in the northwest, which has reached alarming proportions. Zamfara police spokesperson Yazid Abubakar confirmed the attack and said reinforcements have been deployed to the Kasuwa DG district of the town where the incident took place. Residents, including some of the victims, told Reuters by phone about their ordeal, which began with an attack on the local police station. Sporadic gunshots woke me up around 1 a.m. They started with the uniformed men before they moved into our houses, Hausani Mohammed said. They took more than 40 women and children, including some elderly men, added Mohammed, who managed to escape. Hamiswa Kasuwa Adaji, who heads the town's transport union, told Reuters his son and 2 grandchildren were taken by the attackers.
Now, the Director of Restructuring at Linas Arias de Mozambique reveals the existence of a scheme to divert money from airplane ticket sales outlets using automatic payment terminal machines that do not belong to the company. We did a quick job with LAM's internal security to recall all POS, and from LAM's 20 ticket sales points, we had recalled by Sunday 81 POS machines. There are some stores where the heads of the establishments themselves do not recognize the machines and say they do not even know who they belong to, Sergio Matos told a press conference in Maputo. The inspection began almost 2 weeks ago when the company realized that although the number of tickets sold was rising, the accounts were still far from what was expected. The tickets are being sold, but the company is not getting all the money. And in the last 3 months of evaluations, we saw that the difference was in the order of 1.8 to 2.7 million euros.
Getting into our next story, the UPND government has extended a warm welcome to the formation of the opposition United Kwacha Alliance by several political parties. Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Muitwa hailed the establishment of the alliance as a positive indication of the country's flourishing democracy. Muitwa emphasized the government's commitment to upholding democratic principles and stated that it will not obstruct the progress of the UKA. He noted that the formation of the alliance is particularly timely given recent concerns raised by its proponents regarding the perceived narrowing of democratic space in Zambia. Addressing journalists at a press briefing, Muitwa urged opposition parties to refrain from alleging a shrinking democratic space and instead focus on constructive engagement within the political sphere.
Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is in Dubai for the World Government Summit, was yesterday charmed by artificial intelligence systems that assigned police patrols across Dubai without human intervention and vowed to get his ministers working on cooperation and training opportunities. The president said this after touring the Dubai Police General Headquarters, where he also got to experience the deployment and operations of a police drone. The UAE's use of cutting-edge technology in fighting crime reached dizzy heights in 2021 when Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister, launched DroneBox. The program dispatches drones across Dubai and has reduced police response time to criminal and traffic reports from 4.4 minutes to just over a minute. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. We swing over to Arrie Hougaard after the break as we get the latest news from Mzansi.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, it's time for us to cross over to Arrie Hougaard in South Africa, and the political atmosphere is as hot as it gets, because political parties will get to debate the State of the Nation address in Parliament today. We're still waiting for Arrie to swing over, but Glenn, just something to keep in mind: the EFF could not attend the State of the Nation address because of their behavior at the previous State of the Nation. So it's very interesting to see how things will unfold today. Arrie, your first story.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Yes, it's been discussed. Obviously, it was a week ago. It was the State of the Nation, and it was a difficult one for the average South African to just listen to, because it was more the same of 2023 and 2024 at the same kind of components, the same challenges and the same promises. So I think maybe in future they must first address all the promises of 2023 before going into new ones. But the reality on the ground is that elections are coming up. That is former President Zuma there in view. And it's more clear that it's going to have a big influence in the elections coming up, and especially in KwaZulu-Natal. There's big support for the Nkotu Sizwe party. They could challenge the ANC there. But what happened at the SONA debate was Obviously, the discussions, hot topics is electricity. The load shedding at the moment, it was stage 6 for most of the past 5-6 days. So that has been discussed. The ANC, some of the members there said that it's not the end of the world. Load shedding is not the end of the world, but then President Ramaphosa said it's priority to address that. The reality is that it's load shedding, it's unemployment, that it's also state entities that's battling at the moment, and also state capture. So those were the topics that was discussed, and obviously everybody must be given a chance to address all those things. But at the moment, the South African government really battling to address all those different ones, all those different points. But it's a multi-party charter that's on the horizon. It seems like some of the parties pulling together, and it will be interesting to see if the ANC will be forced to be in coalition with the EFF. So only time will tell. Election date might be 22nd of May. It's from 22nd May onwards. It's not confirmed yet, but it will be from around about that date, somewhere May, June, July, probably, where the elections will take place in 2024.
Well, still on that load shedding issue that the South African government must address, South Africa experienced level 6 load shedding again this week. And according to some reports, sabotage cannot be ruled out. What's happening there?
Yes, it's a balance between, is it maintenance not being done, or is it sabotage? It was the ANC Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, that said that they suspect that there's sabotage. There is suspicion, obviously. For instance, there's at some of the boiler tube leaks, they call it, there's 9 units that experience the same boiler tube leaks. So that could indicate for in sabotage. It could also be a reason for not proper maintenance. The professor of energy at the University of Johannesburg, that is Christy Longeberg, she said that sabotage might be one of the factors, but it's only one factor and unlikely to be the biggest factor. So we'll see how that develops. Kusile and Mandupi, the 2 big power plants that was down, the reality is that they're quite new. They come into use 2017, 2018. So they're quite new, so breakdown's not meant to happen, but hopefully they will fix that. It's a bit better now today. It's load shedding level 3 at the moment, so we do have electricity this morning, at least here where I am.
All right. Now, the ANC can no longer withhold records of its cadre employment committee. Tell us more.
Yes, that's when it was a constitutional court that ruled. It came from the Supreme Court of Appeal that in September 2023 also confirmed that the cadre employment, all the documents and all the communication regarding that must be given to the DA, Democratic Alliance, that asked for that. So they say it's in the interest of public notice. So it is a challenge now for the ANC because it's quite a lengthy process. It's going back to the 1st of January 2013, more than 10 years of documents. So it's anything from minutes, meetings of minutes. It is even CVs, emails and WhatsApps, all communication linked to the cadre employment must be handed over. That's just linked suspicion. For some cases there might be state capture where people were put into certain positions that wasn't meant to be there. But they need to do that within 4 days. It was 5 days yesterday, 1 day gone. So it must happen within 5 working days. So that is a difficult one for the ANC.
Now wrapping up your stories, unemployed doctors in KwaZulu-Natal marched to the Provincial Health Department office to address their grievances.
Yes, there's about 800 unemployed doctors, the qualified doctors, that most of them try to get work in the state processes. There's 3,741 public clinics in South Africa, but there's a budget challenge. So there's roughly 1 doctor per 1,000 patients in South Africa. But the health department, the Minister of Health, Joe Pala, said that there's not enough budget for everyone to be employed. What happens typically is many of the doctors will go into the private sector and open up a practice. But many of these doctors, they say they prefer to work in the public, in the state process at the clinics, and there's no work for them. So it is a problem, but there's a shortage of doctors definitely in South Africa. Hopefully the budget can be realigned to accommodate them.
You know who has an excess of doctors? Zimbabwe. I'm just putting it out there. Not trying to stoke any fears. Thank you, Arrie, for bringing us the news stories from South Africa.
Thank you everyone, and happy Valentine's Day for everyone as well.
Happy Valentine's Day indeed.
We'll now take a look at our weather predictions before we return with your economic news.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraitha. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into economic news stories, Access Bank, a prominent Nigerian financial institution, has named an interim CEO following the tragic demise of Herbert Wigwe, the CEO who lost his life in a helicopter accident last Friday, along with 5 others. In a recent statement, Access Holdings PLC, the parent company of Access Bank, revealed that Bolaji Agbede, the bank's esteemed senior founding executive director, will step into the role of CEO on an acting basis. Agbede joined Access Bank in 2003 and has nearly 30 years of experience in banking and business consultancy, the company said, as reported by the BBC.
In our next story, Saudi Arabia's decision to postpone oil capacity expansion plans should not be interpreted as an assessment that demand for crude is falling. OPEC's Secretary General said on Tuesday the Saudi government on January 30th ordered state oil company Aramco to lower its target for maximum sustained production capacity to 12 million barrels per day, 1 million barrels per day below a target announced in 2020 and set to be reached in 2027. Sources have told Reuters the kingdom's surprise reversal of its oil expansion plan was at least 6 months in the making and based on an assessment that much of Saudi Arabia's excess capacity was not being monetized. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest oil exporter and de facto leader of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC raised its world oil demand forecast for the medium and long term in its annual outlook published in October.
Those have been our economic news stories. We're going to swing over to the indicators just before Arrie returns with the sport.
Good day, everyone. Time for international sports news, and starting off with football, English Premier League first, a game that was played. It's a week game that was played, and it's Chelsea that beat Crystal Palace by 3-1. Good away win for Chelsea. That's currently 10th on the English Premier League log. They beat Crystal Palace at Sellers Park. The score there was 3-1. Not good news for Crystal Palace, already under pressure, and there's more pressure now on manager Roy Hodgson. And currently it is Crystal Palace in 15th position on the English Premier League log. They've got 24 points. They next travel to Everton. Everton also struggling, currently 18th on the log, and that game will be played on Monday, and that will be after that a home game for Crystal Palace against Burnley. The next game for Chelsea is a tough one. They travel to defending champions Manchester City, and that game will be played on Saturday. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, a test match cricket. It's South Africa playing the second test against New Zealand. That's played at Seddon Park in Hamilton. New Zealand winning the first test, leading 1-0 in the two-test series. South Africa winning the toss, electing to bat. They were 220 for the loss of 6 wickets. That was after, that is on close of play on the first day. Bit of a surprise batting first. It was a bit of a green wicket, but South Africa survived. They batted slow, but they're 220 for the loss of 6 wickets. Ruan de Swart, the best scorer, is unbeaten on 55. And also India hosting England. The third test will start on Thursday, and that will be played in Raikot, and it is at the moment 1-1 in the 5-test series. News from India is that they will be without their influential batsman KL Rahul. He's got a thigh injury, didn't play in the second innings or second test as well, so he's still injured. He won't be playing in the third test. And also there's still a concern about the availability of Ravindra Jadeja. He's the all-rounder, and he's got a hamstring injury. He's in a race against time. India also earlier announced that Virat Kohli won't play any of the 5 tests, and that's because of personal reasons. Initially, he was only going to miss 2 of the 5 tests, but he announced that he will miss all 5 the tests against England. And to conclude today's international sports news, it's tennis news. It's tennis news from the Qatar Open being played in Doha. That's on the women's circuit, and it is a WTA Thousands tournament. It is a number 1 seed, Iga Swiatek. She beat Serena Castilla of Romania easily by 6-1, 6-1. That was in the first round of the tournament. Some of the top seeds already out of the tournament. Significantly, it was first the number 10 seed. That's Beatriz Haddad Maia of Brazil. She lost against Wang Yingzha. She's from China. The score there was 6-1 and 6-3. Then also it is the number 15 seed, Caroline Garcia of France. She's also out of the tournament. She was beaten by Naomi Osaka. She's a 4-time major winner, and it's Naomi Osaka that beat Caroline Garcia by 7-5 and 6-4. Garcia is from France, and it is some of the first round action in the Qatar Open being played in Doha. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Let's have a look at the highlights. Gunmen kill 4, abduct at least 40 in northwest Nigeria. SA files urgent request to ICJ over Israel's attacks in Rafah. Nigeria's Access Bank appoints Bolaji Agbede after the death of CEO.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful day of love. From me, Glenn Arashipura.
And me, Ashwin Bedi, Swela Jakanaka. Happy Valentine's Day.